Hi, hello everybody. How are you today? Thanks for coming and welcome to Maple's webinar on how to optimize your Google Ads during the super busy holiday season, isn't it? Very nice to meet you. I'm Rakefet, I'm Maple CMO, and today we have with us Robert Lai, who's a Maple expert, a vetted Maple expert, that is going to speak and lead this session and give you lots of tips and ideas and strategies on how to optimize your Google Ads during these very, very busy times. How are you today, Robert?
Good, thank you. I'm not sure where everyone else is, but it's not nice and early in the morning for me. I know it's late at night for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall
Yeah,
good.
it's a global webinar what we're having right now. So, Robert, where are you located right now?
I'm in Sydney, Australia.
Yeah, I'm in Tel Aviv. And if you can drop a line in the chat, just tell us where you're from. It will be cool to see where everyone is at right now. Okay, East Coast. Dallas, Texas. Wow. Colorado. Amazing. In the UK, Wales. In Toronto. Wow, very great to have you, everyone. It is a very, very global community that we're building in Maple as well. So it's awesome to see, people from all around the world joining us for this event. Just before we step in, I don't want to take much of your time before, taking all the value from this session. I'm not going to run a very long intro. Just saying that first, I know Robert for quite a while, so I really appreciate him, and I'm sure prepare your notebooks. Okay, you'll get a lot of tips from this session for sure. And the reason why Robert is here and I'm here is because first, we know the pains of this time of year with the holiday season, and obviously there are ways to solve that, and there are ways to compete and to outperform your competitors during those times. Robert, as I said, is a vetted Maple expert, so numbers talk, and rely on numbers. So this is what you get from Robert, and his knowledge is super extensive, and definitely something that we would all like to learn from. So, Robert, I'm handing it over to you, and good luck. Any questions you have? You have the section of the questions up there. So feel free to ask any question. We'll dive into any information you will need there further on, and let's do it.
Cool. I'll just share my screen. Cool. Everyone can see. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, it's
okay. Cool. Perfect. Cool. So today I'm going to run through, this is going to be more of a Google Ads related session today when it comes to the holiday season. To give a bit more context into my background, so I've started a marketing agency based in Singapore. We cover multiple regions. We cover Indonesia, we cover all of Southeast Asia basically, plus Australia, and we also have clients in the US. In terms of my experience, so I started this agency right before COVID hit, and I left Google New York right before COVID hit. And in terms of my experience, I've always been in the agency division of Google. I've also worked at several large agencies, so I've always sort of had that lens of working with multiple clients, working with different agencies, and just seeing the different tactics that they use, and also seeing from the Google perspective what Google is feeding towards the advertisers in terms of information. Right, and as you can imagine, it's very generic. They've got teams and product teams to educate the people at the front lines. The frontline people will then pass on the information to you guys, and everyone has mixed reviews on the Google reps that they've spoken to. I think mostly not so positive, but there are some good ones. But I think a few things to really key in here is when working with Google ultimately, is going to win regardless, because we're all spending with them. And whether we get good results or not, Google's still going to make money. And I think those are the things where I want to help the people here in attendance today to take more control, take Google's advice with a grain of salt. Obviously, they're developing lots of cool stuff, but how much of that stuff is applicable to you? And as you can imagine, they're sharing that information with you. So how many more people are they sharing it with? Right? If we're all using the same bidding strategies, there's only one winner there, and that's Google, because bidding strategies end up us spending more and our bids going higher, and Google obviously benefiting from those results. So how do we sort of do something a little bit different whilst also trying to remain competitive? So that's what you'll get out of this session today. I want to include as much audience participation as possible. So if you guys don't mind just dropping your website, you guys have already dropped your location, so I'll try to use that within the presentation as well. But if you're able to also include your e-commerce website and maybe the industry that you're in, I'll try to include you throughout the presentation. Cool. As mentioned, with my Google background, I actually worked at Google twice. First time I worked in Sydney, left to work agency side, then went to Google New York. That gave me a lot of insights into how the people in New York ran the campaigns. And all the Googlers like to start with stats, so I'm not going to change that. I'm going to actually, in fact, turn the stats against Google at some point. So in general, why we're discussing Google, why we're discussing search today. It's a huge part of e-commerce campaigns. Obviously, Facebook is a big one where we're able to reach people at scale. But when it comes to people with high intent that are looking for something that you have to sell or you have in stock, Google's the channel that probably delivers the best results. Okay, so a lot of searches happen on a daily basis. 50% of your PPC visitors are more likely to buy something than your organic searches. And in regards to the user journey, right, which I'm going to really focus on this next few minutes, 51% of shoppers surveyed say that they use Google to research a purchase that they make online. So
Robert, if you can just present, because we don't see the slides you're going through.
I clicked present. Can everyone see the screen or no?
Nope.
Okay, let me do share screen instead, and let me know if you guys see my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, now we're good. Just click present and we'll be fine.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. So in regards to, okay, the stats, I'll pause here for a second. So I'm going to focus a lot on the user intent and user journey. I think most of you are advertising on Facebook. Not sure how many of you are advertising on Google. When it comes to Google, there are a lot of your competitors bidding in that same space, and there are only limited amount of searches. So it can get very expensive very quickly. So it's really important to understand intent, right? When we allow the bidding strategies and broad match and all these things to do what they want to do, we're likely paying too much for people with low intent. Low intent is what should I buy my husband for Father's Day or for Christmas, right? These are they have the intent to purchase something, but they don't have the intent to purchase what you have on offer, right? So it's important to understand the user journey, understand where Google plays a role. When someone sees an ad on Facebook, they also turn to Google to conduct their research, right? So these are some stats that we can sort of share, that Google will share with you very upfront, because they know that you'll spend money based on these numbers. In terms of general macro numbers, the e-commerce industry for this particular year is at its highest, expected to reach 4.5 trillion for this year. Based on this information, with upcoming Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales, it's going to be the biggest holiday season ever, with over 10 billion e-commerce sales expected to be done. Digital playing a key role, source eMarketer. So what does this all mean? To me, this means that we're going to have increased activity, which is great for the industry, but it also means it's going to be a lot harder to find that needle in the haystack, right? Because the haystack's a lot larger, and we do need to rely on bid strategy, but we need to rely on it with a grain of salt. Everyone here and everyone that's advertising that's in the e-commerce business is using target ROAS. If everyone's using it, who's really getting any proprietary sort of benefits from this tool if all of us are using it, right? We're all using the same tool, we're all using the same bidding strategy. It's not unique. At least when we were all running manual bidding, everyone had their own unique way of running it, right? So now we're all using the same thing, and there's only one winner. Like as I mentioned, it's Google that they get you to apply all the so-called best practices, right? They get us to remove our negative list, open up to broad match. In the end, we're just helping them drive more revenue for themselves. So we need to see what parts that we can take as information that's relevant to us, and then what are the areas where we can try something that's a bit different, that's more relevant to us and our user journey, right? Some of you sell products that are super high ticket items, right, in terms of price, that may require a lot longer user journey. We need to respect that journey. Some of you may have a shorter journey in which Google only plays a small part, and Facebook and TikTok work far better for you in terms of driving sales. So competition is going to be stiff. Target ROAS, in combination with what everyone wants to spend during this increased period, is also going to be stiff. So if we have all this going against us, our margins actually get smaller and smaller and smaller, despite the revenue numbers showing differently, right? So how do we protect our margins at the same time try to also drive more revenue? So what we're going to cover today is going to be based off of intent, right? Intent-based marketing and alternative best practices, right? So I'm going to try to give you guys options on ways to think about things, especially if you are limited by budget, right? If you do not have the same budget as some of your competitors, and mind you, most likely we don't, okay? Because we're not only competing against direct brands that sell the same products that we do, we're also competing against Amazon and large marketplaces, right, that are also eating up market share when it comes to search. So these are things in which we need to find a way to navigate through and find a way to win. Ultimately, winning means you show up to the right people at the right time, right? But how do we do that? How do we do that if everyone's using the same bidding strategy? How do we be competitive? So we'll start by understanding intent. So how can we integrate search into your overall marketing strategy? There's a key few things that I want us to pay close attention to. Okay, search impression share is a key one. This is how much of the market you're capturing. If you're relying on a bidding strategy, the bidding strategy is controlling this for you. Basically, what it's doing is deciding when to bid up, right, to maximize search impression share, and when to bid down based off of what they believe the intent of the user is, right? So the auction time bidding is essentially what they're doing, and they're using this as a scaling metric, right? If I like I have identified that this prospect of user is going to get us a sale, then I'm going to increase the search impression share. I'm going to show up more on the top impression share and maybe show up more on the absolute top impression share. So those are things in which Google will do. The search terms that we derive from our campaigns is also very, very important. I think that's a given. Demographic is also super important, but it's about combining these things together. Okay, so how much of the market are we covering of a certain keyword, and which demographics are reacting best to us? When we look at a campaign, I want from this session, don't want you guys to look at it from US wide or UK wide anymore. I want you to look at a more granular level. How many sales are we getting in Dallas? How many sales are we getting from male, female, 18 to 24, right? How many sales are we getting from a particular search term in those particular demographic brackets? So if we can look at it from that lens, then we should be able to look at the different markets that we're competing in and really compete in the ones that we feel we're going to win in. Okay, so if you're selling out of Dallas and you're able to offer as quick of a shipping as Amazon does in Dallas, then this gives you a competitive edge over your competitors that are based in other states, right? So those are the things that we want to do. And when it comes to measurement, we have everything running against TROAS, right? Target ROAS. There are other, especially leading up to this holiday period, there are other measurements that we can use. So we can use engaged user, for example. So someone that's been on our website for over 90 seconds or 60 seconds, or have visited a particular product page. Those to me are also key actions because they may be holding out on buying your product and waiting for Black Friday deals, right? So it's important to measure these things so we can bucket those audiences, and when we're ready to have an offer to present to them, we can reach those audiences directly using remarketing, right? Or people that have clicked on a buy now button to go towards Amazon. Amazon is everyone's best friend and also everyone's enemy. Okay, Amazon provides a great experience for people to be able to purchase, as an option instead of your website. So how are we going to measure that, and how are we going to measure the amount of people going to Amazon, and how are we going to measure the conversion rate of people from going from a website and closing on Amazon as well? So those are some things that we want to ensure that we have to be able to make the most of search.
Robert, isn't backing, putting those audiences into small buckets has the potential to increase costs?
Yeah, it does, and naturally, we don't know what Google is essentially bidding on, right? I mean, we don't know what is the sign to spend on. So if you guys are able to combine not only the data that's here, but also qualitative data from your existing sales, then you have a bit more confidence to spend a bit more on that audience. Now, the way that bidding works on Facebook versus search is not the same. So Google charges based off a CPC basis. Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok charge based off a CPM basis. So on a CPM basis, they tend to increase the cost of reaching your user by the extra parameters that you add to target those users. Google does not. So you're able to just segment a particular audience without experiencing higher costs, but you have the option to be able to increase in those particular areas, like the example I gave of Dallas, right? If you're selling a product in Dallas and you're targeting people at 18 to 24, that's male, and that also matches your qualitative data in terms of the customers that are buying off of you, then try to own as much search impression share as you can of that market. It's not going to cost you more outside of just trying to be more aggressive on getting more market share.
So basically, just to sum that up, most e-commerce brands obviously use Facebook and Instagram as part of their media spec. So if I would go local on one channel, it would be Google, not other channels I'm using.
Yep. I mean, unless you're willing to pay for the associated costs with limiting your audience size, then and the ROI is still there, then you can do that on those other channels of Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. But I think one other important thing to note is when it comes to intent, the users on Google also have a higher intent, right? They're looking for a specific product. Whereas on Facebook, if you limit that audience, you may be reaching the right people that in terms of customer profile, but not in terms of the right buying type, right? Which is why it's good to keep it broad, and then funnel down the users that have higher purchase intent based off their engagements with your website or based on things that they've done. Those are the indicators that you can get that these people have a higher intent. With Google, you're able to look into the search terms that you're bidding on and understand, are the people typing in a lot of who, where, what, how type of keywords, right? Or are they typing a lot of very product-specific keywords? So actually, we'll deep dive into that in a second. So when it comes to the overall user journey and overall marketing funnel, we understand that we use paid social and video to help trigger users to begin their journey, try and reach people and spark a reaction, and hope that reaction is an immediate purchase. But ultimately, the user intent is rather low compared to the interest consideration stage, where we're looking to nurture users towards purchase. User intent is mixed, and we can use content to be able to influence the user in the right direction. At the purchase stage, we're looking to encourage action. This is where people are either converting on Amazon or converting directly from our website and likely typing in your brand or your products to be able to find you, right? Where user intent is very high. So ads will then be focused on price point, reviews, and creating a sense of urgency. So where does search fit throughout the funnel? Search covers from top to bottom, but for today, we're going to really focus on the consideration, purchase stage, and essentially that mid to lower funnel. Right? Search allows us to be able to find new and qualified users. if we are going after users that are typing the who, what, where, how keywords, you better have a landing page to direct them towards that will help engage them and give them the information that they need to develop trust with you. When it comes to, so that's exactly what I meant by engaging. So engaging them in a meaningful way to maximize the value of each interaction. And we'll also talk about bidding strategies when looking for these keywords that have lower intent, right, but are the right users or are on the right path to purchasing a product from you. So Google refers to that whole sort of that middle part of the funnel as the messy middle. Okay. And even when we look at our own actions, we also spend a lot of time exploring, evaluating, and waiting for the right trigger to be able to purchase. We'll also turn to channels like YouTube to be able to further understand. And YouTube is also a search engine as well. We'll go there to understand the options that we have, reviews, these KOLs that do these unboxing videos or whatever it is. We'll go through all that to better understand if this product is the right fit for us and develop some trust with the brand and the product itself to ensure that we've made the right option. Now, how long this messy middle component is also uncertain to us as well. Users can tend to get stuck here. That's why the whole measurement piece, if we're just measuring on how much sales we're closing or add to carts, it's not enough because we're not factoring in the people that are taking the time to read the description on the product page, that are looking at all the other options that they have. Those are the people that we're looking at. And in fact, we can also create audiences that come from a particular campaign on search. So if we've got a campaign segmented in a way in which we've got the who, what, where, how keywords, right, bucketed as awareness, for example, then we're able to say, okay, these users came from awareness campaign. I'm going to remarket to them differently versus people that have typed in my product, right? Because those people are looking to get the right offer to get out of this messy middle. So those are some things that we'll cover off as well. But how do we better understand the messy middle? We'll start with search intent. So to look into search intent, right, and just to see a linear journey, Christmas gift for a boyfriend, they end up typing in basketball shoes as a middle funnel keyword, right? So they've identified what product they want to buy. And then they type in Nike LeBron 13, size 12 and a half. Essentially the type of shoe that I'd wear. But as you can see from the user journey, as they've gone through and found what they wanted, they probably typed in Christmas gift for boyfriend, found a blog article that gives certain ideas. And then they thought, oh, you know what? He is into basketball, so let me look into basketball shoes so he can get back on the court again. And then eventually they found, also the dots connected that he may be a LeBron fan and ended up purchasing this type of shoe, right? So these are the things that users will go through, and it's important to measure them. If we bucket all these as one campaign, we won't understand the user journey. We won't understand how those interactions have led to a purchase, right? So it's important for us to bucket these differently and separately with different goals, because if we're ranking number one for Christmas gift for boyfriend, for example, that's an issue. This user is going to click on multiple links in that user journey, right? They're going to click on 5 to 10 links. It's okay if we rank 8th or 9th, right? Because this user doesn't have the intent to purchase yet. So I'd rather rank 9th instead of 1st because I know that the person's not going to buy, right? So for basketball shoes, it's the same deal. When it comes to the messy middle and people are doing their research, they're going to click on multiple links. They're going to see a link from Foot Locker, from Nike, and all these other brands, and then they're going to find your product, right? So where we want to rank number one, though, is probably on that last query, right? We have exactly what they have on offer, and we have a deal to present to them, and that makes sense for us to put in front of the user, right? So these are things that we need to sort of understand and be nuanced about, so that way we can create create campaigns that not only talk to each other, we're able to measure them better and compete aggressively against competitors that have things bucketed all in one campaign. So how messy is the messy middle? There is this, if you haven't explored it just yet, this is in every Google Ads account. You can go to tools, go to attribution, and you'll be able to find this information there, right? I tend to go to a look back window of 90 days to get as much information as possible, and I'll set last 30 days as my day period. This is an example of a telco company, a telecommunications company that sells mobile plans, and the average days to conversion for them is 27 days. All right, you couldn't get a messy middle than 27 days. So the average interactions that we make are also 4.5. Right, so there's a lot more opportunity for us to make far more interactions within this 27-day period, right? Because the number of days that we interact is so limited. So that's where we introduce new channels for us to look into, try to tackle users at early in the journey, and try to find the right landing pages to nurture them further. The two objectives that I have here for as optimizations that my team and I can make for this client is reducing the number of days to conversion. This is by providing better landing pages and a better offer at the end of the journey. The other component there is the average interactions. I want to increase this metric, right? Because I want to ensure that I have many more touch points, and ensure I pay the lowest amount for them too. If I'm paying top dollar for each of these interactions, it does not make sense, right? I know that the interactions being made, going from people typing in SIM plans, right, or SIM card plans, to ending up with typing the brand. But how we can intersect and be able to adjust our messaging for the user and create more interactions and pay less cost for it, those are things that we want to do to help optimize for our client. So there are metrics that can help us understand how messy the messy middle is, right, and how extensive that user journey can be, and what optimizations we can make as a result.
And we're so used to look at paid advertising as something which is so immediate, right? We want to put money in and want to see results coming out. A lot of times those metrics that are in the middle of the funnel, part of the customer journey, we don't see them, right? We're just saying, the end results we're looking to achieve. And I'm really, asking you, everyone that works here with an agency or an expert that helps them right now, these are things that they should know and they should be on top of. And you should ask for those metrics, and to make sure, the people you work with are on top of things and know the customer journey, and not only, aiming for the end conversion without knowing what's happening in the middle. And that's part of the professional level you should get when working with someone. As I started this conversation saying, in Mayple we vet experts. So these are part of the things that we're checking during the vetting process, making sure, and I'm really asking you to do that with people you work with right now, making sure you're looking at the full funnel metrics to understand your customer journey, and to really be able to answer them and make the most of your marketing budget at the end of the day.
Yeah, and these are metrics that our Google reps also tend to skim over as well, but super important to leverage and use. The fact of the matter is, when it comes to Google, I can tell you, having worked there and worked in one of the major offices, 99% of my coworkers have never built a campaign before, right? So you guys likely have more experience in the platform than they do. So they wouldn't know how to get to here. But it's important to explore all these things. Google does provide a lot of information, right? And how we decipher that, how we decide to use it, is also very key. So this is one of my favorite sort of places to get information, is on the attribution piece. And this also encourages us to diversify, leverage more channels outside of search, but also see how search can play a big role in nurturing that user towards a conversion. Because we all know that our channels talk to one another, but there's no metrics to show us exactly how, right? We use Google Analytics, we use these tools, but ultimately, Google's not a friend of Facebook, right? They're enemies, and there's lots that we're not seeing in terms of the full picture. So it's, this is an example of where we're able to get a full picture just on Google products, but at least it gives us some idea. Cool. This is where we get into the part where we're trying to take back control of our campaigns. So a quick refresh on how the search ad auction works and how this compares against Facebook. When it comes to search, and for those that have been around long enough, I think most of us here, we know Yahoo used to be a big thing. It used to dominate this industry when it comes to search, but there's one thing that it didn't do well. They would allow Coca-Cola to be able to buy Pizza Hut keyword, for example, as long as they paid money. Google, on the other hand, really focused on quality, right? And they still do, and that's how the ad auction works. So as long as you are relevant, as long as you you know aim to be relevant, then you're going to end up with a high quality score. And that's where when I look at using bidding strategies and we've got all these keywords in there, that's where we're not being relevant, right? When someone's typing in a who, what, where, how keyword, they want to be directed towards information, not towards a product. Okay, so these are things in which we want to ensure that we deliver a good experience, and by doing so, we're able to save our costs. On top of that, right, against Facebook, as mentioned, Facebook charges based on CPM basis, whereas Google charges based off a CPC basis. It's all dependent on our competition. If our competition is all using the same bidding strategy, that gives us the advantage then to make some sort of adjustments, right? On some particular campaigns, you can opt to not use the same bidding strategy. Not all of us have to use target ROAS. You can have campaigns that focus on driving your traffic, as long as that traffic is high quality, right? And you can probably set up conversions that are measuring that quality of traffic as well. So as I mentioned before, you can create the measurement of 60 seconds on site, 90 seconds on site, visit 3+ pages as a form of conversion. And if we do that, then we don't have to just use max target ROAS. We can use maximize conversions, different types of bidding strategies that will help us automate and help drive more people into our funnel. And if we keep building that funnel, then you're going to have a larger remarketing pool to be able to use on channels like Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and for search as an example. But quality score and ensuring we deliver the right content, deliver the right experience, key to success, and still are key to success today for Google. Cool. So this is, if you look on Google's company website, they will have these company values in place. Number one is focus on the user and all else will follow. Google has done this from day one. This is why they beat out Yahoo, and why they continue to be dominant in all the areas that they provide products in. And for us, we can do the same, right? As long as we believe that we're following what the users are looking for and following the user journey, we can also align our tactics and strategies based on that as well. So when it comes to objectives, okay, as mentioned, if someone is in the research phase of their journey, let's call it awareness search, we shouldn't be looking to rank number one all the time, right? It's good to rank number one here and there, but ultimately, I'd be happy with covering 25% of this large market. There's a large pool of people in the awareness stage, right? And just maintaining a top impression share around 10%. That's fine for me, right? Because I'm focused on traffic and I'm focused on low cost traffic. When it comes to interest data search, I'd be focused more on engagement and then cost per engagement. That's where I'll be looking at capturing 50% of the market of these type of keywords. As the funnel narrows, I want more of the market, right? When it comes to consideration purchase stage, I really want to get very aggressive and show up a lot of the time and show up in the top few, right? Showing up in the top few rankings is also somewhat of a branding play. It also builds trust, right? Because Google has this level of trust that their top ranked ads or listings are the highest or most relevant searches for the user. And this should be the case when it comes to what we have on offer in terms of products as well, right? So if you're going to look at structuring your campaigns in a particular way, you can structure it by objectives, and objectives can be towards the different stages of the user journey. And you can bucket those by the keywords or the intent of those keywords that you're targeting. Focus on pain points, right? So it's super important for us to look into creating dedicated landing pages, blog pages, video pages, offering an ebook or event similar to what we're doing today, right? To try to push towards solving consumer pain points, because there's so much searches that are going on that SEO will take a lot of time to rank on, right? So you can look at running ads against them and getting low cost traffic directed to landing pages or to a video, and nurturing those users further, right? Helping someone with their Christmas gift ideas, if it aligns with the audience that you're looking to target. And because you're not limited adding more granular targeting doesn't punish you on Google. You're able to, if you sell, I think someone in that signed up to this webinar also sells beef jerky, for example. If you're selling beef jerky and your customers are predominantly male of a certain age group, you can just limit these campaigns that are more upper funnel, like best Christmas gifts, towards that user segment, right? Because we need, in order for us to drive more revenue, we need to open up to a larger pool of audience. So in order to do so, we want to be able to get that traffic at the lowest cost, where it's financially feasible for us to be able to do so, and try to nurture those users further. And as long as we reach the right users that are looking for a gift, where we have the opportunity, if they come to our website, to remarket to them on channels like Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Focus on relevance, right? When people are looking for a particular solution or particular products, let's try to best align with their needs. So an example here, Asana takes personalization to a whole nother level. I conducted a search, and then so Asana for marketers was typed in. Because they were constantly looking through their search terms, they created ad groups and ads that are dedicated towards solving marketing problems. So if you actually type in Asana for marketers, they've got Asana for marketing teams, keep teams on the same page, turn strategies into action, and manage any marketing project with Asana. When I click on the website, they also do the same thing as well. Allow me to understand what the most important workflows for me, what they are, and then they also give me templates that match the needs of a marketing team, right? So delivering a full funnel experience or just targeting full on an intent basis isn't enough. We also need to look at how we can personalize the overall journey towards the user, right? Like we saw with Google, focus on the user and all else will follow. Other component here is to really focus on trust. User reviews, testimonials, any paid or sponsored content, they all work as social proof, right? So as long as you include links or articles or blogs for people to read that are more in the upper funnel part of the journey, right? Giving them that trust indicator is super important. So those are some things that can really help you to nurture that user further or to help close those deals. Now, here's an
I would
example.
just add that especially in the holiday season, where the exploration is even more extensive and there are more brands out there, in the face of your potential customers, that's exactly where you need to have this social proof, backing your brand and making sure the people actually trust your brand and are willing to buy. Obviously, and this is top of funnel. Down the funnel, you can do other things that will support building trust. And just before moving on to the right metrics, and specifically during high seasons, I'm just putting a poll here in regards to typically, how do you feel or how do you see your Google Ads performance during the holiday season? Looking back at the last year, and we already started November, campaigns are already running, so you can feel free to submit your vote on the polls area on the left, just for us to see where everyone at and how can we address that during the rest of the time we're left with.
Yeah. Cool. So should I continue?
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Sorry.
Cool. Focusing on the right metrics. So as mentioned, you don't need to, it's good to obviously track your revenue, sales, transactions, add to carts, and all those things, abandoned checkouts. But it's also good to track these, and you can have these as included in conversions, tick no, right? So you don't need to actually to include them in the conversions column. So you can just keep them as is and just record as you see fit, okay? So why this is important is, a few things. We're able to now see very clearly what the repeat rate is of people that we're acquiring from PPC, right, or for paid search, to actually reaching those users again. So the repeat rate here is 1.03, 1.06, very low numbers, right, in comparison to other metrics that we may be looking at. We're also able to accumulate the size of this audience over time, right, to be able to remarket to them as well, because we've created these different conversion actions. Other actions that you can also include could be watch the video tutorial, watch the video products on your website, expanded a drop down of a recipe, a button click to Amazon listing, or sharing a link. Right, these are all actions that we can track, and as long as they accumulate some sort of a size of audience, we're able to then reach that audience and direct them to the next action, right? And curate those ads and give your marketing teams more options, right? Either you work with an expert or agency or in-house, empower them with far more options to be far more creative with how they want to structure their campaigns, right? To how I want to interact with these people that have delivered a certain time on site versus people that just came to my website is going to be very different, right? It just gives you the extra option. So how do we leverage insights from search to dictate the content that is driven on social media, YouTube, and on our websites? So an example that I've done with the Fresh Market, I think it's only based in Florida. They compete against Whole Foods in Florida, and I think they have some stores on the East Coast. Um, we found that a lot of people during Thanksgiving period were looking for Thanksgiving recipes or special things to do for Thanksgiving, or looking for last minute meals. So we decided to, based on from that search activity, we decided to create content that helps drive social media, YouTube, and what we post on the website. By understanding what those users typed in to come to our website initially, right? We were, based on these interactions as well of running these ads, we were also then able to run re-engagement campaigns, knowing that they came from a Thanksgiving ad, to then serve a Thanksgiving ad on YouTube and on Facebook alternatively as well. So knowing these things and be able to segment our campaigns in a particular way, right, of targeting Thanksgiving as a particular campaign, this allows us to drive re-engagement in many different ways, and then down towards the product as well. So maybe someone's seen Celebrate Thanksgiving on YouTube, and then we're able to drive them towards picking up ready-made meals at their local fresh market store later down the funnel, right? So lots of options that we have cross-channel, cross-platform, and take greater control of our campaigns, not just from search, but leveraging search to dictate what we show on other channels as well. Cool. So we're going to pair the two. We learned a bit about intent, and we then want to focus on the markets that we want to reach. Being a marketer myself, I've come up with this framework, right? You guys have all heard of single keyword ad groups, I believe, when it comes to paid search. My team and I leverage something a bit different. We call it single purpose campaigns. And we try to bucket campaigns based off of the individual objectives or KPIs that we're working towards, not just to create chaos for ourselves by having hundreds of campaigns to manage, but mainly because we want to be able to take greater control when it comes to personalization. So ultimately, when it comes to strategizing our search campaigns, we look into many different ways to segment our users based off our customers' needs. We look into device, age, gender, location, time of day, and based off intent, which we basically just use our assessment of the search query, whether we believe that it's an awareness keyword or a purchase stage keyword. We then try to use that segmentation to then deliver a very personalized user experience, trying to understand what that particular person may be looking for, and trying to personalize our ads towards that as well. An example of this, so we work with Unilever brands, and we work with Comfort. This is an example that we've done for one of the Unilever brands as an example. The user on the left-hand side is a male, non-parent, 25 to 34, basically describing myself, and has typed in the query, what is a fabric softener? Because we assume that this person really has no idea, right? There is the call to actions here of learn about fabric softeners, why you need one, and then all the site links link to different questions that they may have following that initial query. Different type of softeners, where to find softeners, what do softeners do, how to use a softener. These are things that we've done to go an extra length to personalize towards the user's needs. Let's face it, men aren't very good with cleaning, right? I don't mean to be sexist in any way, but we don't know. Most of us, it's a good chance we may not know what softeners actually do, or these questions may be relevant to us. Okay, so these are things in which we're able to leverage search for to deliver a very personalized experience, right? When it comes to the purchase stage keyword, we have female, parent, she's a mother, 35 to 44, has previously visited our product page. So she already knows our product. She's typed in buy fabric softener. The way I'm going to personalize towards her, I'm going to type in buy comfort fabric softener, conditioner, sorry, which is the product. We've then gone specific with the type of product that she's visited. Then we've got the call to action there of safe for children's delicate skin. Dermatologically tested is safe for even your child's most delicate skin. We made the assumption here that she's a parent based off the inputs that Google has provided us, and then we're directing them to their favorite places to buy. This could be Amazon, could be other places depending on where they are in the world, right? And also directing them to the range if I've made the wrong assumption on ultra pure concentrated as the one that they wanted. So these are the things that we can do to be further personalized, to be far more personalized than our competitors are. Our competitors are not going to this extent. I can guarantee you that, right? I've been through 3,000 Google Ad accounts. I can tell you all of them are done super generically, okay? To go to this extent is going to unlock you a better understanding of your type of buyer profile, is going to help you get far better results, right? Far higher CTRs, more traffic, and higher conversion rates too. So these are the things that we try to look at to nurture users through the funnel and see how we can personalize based off of intent.
And I would just add to that, obviously, you'll need someone that has experience with your target audience in order to say those things, right? Obviously, you've conducted research here as well to understand the buyer persona, to understand the intent, in order to kind of shorten the learning curve here. So obviously, the team that's working with you should be the ones that already know your niche, know the language people are using when talking, for example, about fabric softeners, whether it would be this persona or another. And this knowledge of your niche and your target audience is super critical to the results you'll be able to achieve on those personalized customer journeys you're building, and to increase the conversion rates eventually. Coming back to, again, are we working with those experts that have experience in my niche, knowing my target audience in my space, or not? Or should we go through a longer learning curve together in order to achieve that? Another thing to look at when coming from the who do I hire kind of question to do all those things, I think that you need to take under consideration. Eventually, it's not working with someone that is the best. He's an amazing expert, right? I get so much recommendations, but is he or she the best person, the best professional to run my own brand, my specific brand with my own needs, in order to achieve those results faster rather than later?
Cool. So we're going to go into a bit more granular detail now. I think everyone will probably, depending on if you're a marketer or not, you may be very excited about this. I'm going to break down a search campaign strategy that we have for one of the clients, the examples of a client that we have in the US. Okay. So they're a book publisher. They essentially sell the services of helping people publish books. And initially, what they ran was one campaign, highlighting the black box. They're targeting all of US, targeting a whole bunch of different. So I actually added the naming convention to help understand what was under there. They had a lot of interest level keywords: how to publish a book, publishing a book, self-publishing, all these different keywords. Okay, Amazon publishing as well, and essentially it was a whole bunch of services that they provided. All right, so because of the way they're structured, they captured 10% of the market as a result. All right, because they only have 2,000 to spend. You're competing against Amazon, that's also publishing books, and all these other independent publishers all over the United States. So there's no way that we can acquire a significant market share based on the keywords that we have, and we're also leveraging a bidding strategy as well. So from my diagnosis, just from this screenshot alone, we're capturing a lower tail of the users. As a result of the traffic that we're driving a lower conversion rate. And as a result of those costs, we also have a higher cost per conversion, right? What we decided to do was just to choose one keyword out of there because it was such stiff competition. Just chose one state in Florida, right? And had the interest there and focused on trying to get aggressive and capture more market share. Now, with that said, our CPCs did go higher, almost double, right? Went from $2.22 to $3.39. But we're able to get 44% of the market share, and we're able to get high quality traffic. High quality traffic led to a high conversion rate, led to a lower cost per conversion. And then we did that across every other state and granularized everything we could. Competition is extremely stiff, right? So I was able to drop the cost per lead down by 78%, right? And able to increase the conversion rate by getting high quality traffic, and able to increase our overall search impression share significantly as well, and scale spends 9x. Cool. When it comes to how we can then strategize our search campaigns to translate into our other channels that we currently use. So how to publish a book is a keyword that a user may have typed in Florida. That user has come to our website. We found that so we've got source of traffic. I'll break this out into Google Analytics terms. We've got source of traffic coming from this campaign. Okay, that's this campaign here. Then we're able to see that this bucket of audience has also then fallen to another bucket of people that have visited the children's book related landing pages, right, on our blog. So / children's book. We're able to combine those two audiences and deliver this ad on Facebook or on any other channels to say we're the best children's book publisher in Florida. Submit your idea, right? How we can leverage these different touch points or sources of traffic or interactions to then create an ad that is relevant to a particular user based off of where they are in terms of intent, right? If they were further down the funnel, then we'd be looking at a completely different call to action altogether, right? So because this one's a softer call to action, it was relevant in this use case. So how can we use search in combination with your paid social campaigns, right? Actually, I hear a lot of conversation. Should I pause for questions? Recommend?
You got some compliments, that's for sure.
Thank you. I can't see what's being typed. So,
so much information, so much value, really, Robert. It's super impressive, and I think people are really getting value here. I also put another poll, so excuse me for interrupting, but just to check how you feel about this session. How is it valuable for you? Just to get your feedback there, and we'll continue.
Yeah, and please provide questions as well. And just save your questions for the end if you want. I'm almost done actually, so I'll love to get to Q&A and address your exact needs. So search in combination with paid social. So if you're going to use search as a way of farming these users, as I've just shown you in this campaign segmentation, right? Then this will allow you to create those relevant campaigns as well. Sorry, one thought that I just mentioned as well. Competing against your competitors when everyone's using the same bidding strategy, right? If you bucket this, you're able to just focus on a particular market. If you do not have a US-wide budget, right? We were able to scale this account to a US-wide budget, but only because we targeted individual states at first, right? I decided on states, but you can ultimately decide on anything. If US-wide is the way you want to take it, you can just focus on one keyword even, right? Because US is huge. For most people here, I'm assuming that you're targeting the US market. There's 300 plus million people, right, in that market. And you've got so many competitors, and a lot of competitors, I'm going to also assume, have higher budgets than you do, right? So if they do have significantly higher budgets, then it's very hard for you to compete at that same macro level. But you may be able to compete on a micro level. I can probably dominate Texas or California, right? But I can't dominate the whole United States. So dominate one area. This gives you scalability, right? Because then you can multiply the campaign by 50, right? Once you're able to be successful in one area, you can then multiply that by 50, right? So those are options that you guys have. You don't need to follow what Google's always saying. I believe in their bidding strategies, but I don't believe that you should use them in the way that they've asked you to use them, right? They ask you to do this. This is exactly the instructions of a Google rep. What we've done was go against the whole big picture thing and just focus on what we believed worked, right? So we focused on one keyword, literally one keyword, how to publish, and one state, and this already drove us huge results because the market was so large, right? If you work in a place where you have a very niche product, then it's very, very difficult. But if you have a niche product, so just even California can be too huge, right? It can be too large of a market to reach. So essentially, take a look into the data, see where you're getting sales, look into your qualitative data. Where would you direct your focus? Where would you direct your marketing dollars if you had the option to drive more efficiency, right? And when it comes to you guys running your promos as well, you can do the same thing. Your competitors are looking at campaigns at a US wide level. They're not going to see that you've done this, right? Amazon has not seen that I've started to take over Florida, because when you structure your campaign, you're looking at campaign-wide auction insights, right? You're looking at search impression share at a campaign level. But by splitting out Florida, now I can see exactly the nuances of who's getting more aggressive in this state and what adjustments should I make for that state, right? I can offer Florida-wide shipping, Florida-only shipping, or Florida-only discount, whatever it is, to personalize the discount. If my competitor is offering the same 20% off, and I've offered 20% off, I can say for Florida only and just add a bit more personalization to it, right? Even though it's the same offer, it just adds a bit more trust and feel to it because I'm localized and the other person isn't. So there's lots of options here for you to play with, depending on how you want to personalize your campaigns.
So, Robert, is there a minimum amount of conversions you need in order to bucket those campaigns into?
Yeah, I think definitely if you're too niche, or if your market's too small, you don't want to go to this level of extent, right? So for me, Florida, California, New York were large enough for us to be able to spend and get a couple thousand clicks per month, right? Which resulted in a couple hundred conversions per month. But if you do not have these volumes, or if you, I would say anything. As you can see, there is a deterioration in terms of results, depending on how small the market is. So if the market's too small, you're not going to see the same return on investments by doing this. So in terms of minimums, it really depends. But if you're only getting one or two conversions a week, or for example, then it's not worthwhile because you're not getting enough learnings of what's working for you either, right? By segmenting so much. So until you get those volumes, until you're able to see the opportunity of conversions to market share, for example, then that's where you can decide whether you want to expand more or not. Because I think, as you can see here, we're able to see that we've got 150 conversions and we've captured 35% of the market. So you can then decide, okay, if I spend more, I can capture more than this 150 allocation that I have. Ooh. And the other thing here is actually, so if you do not want to spend more, that's also a good thing too. Because if you're able to see the search impression share, let's just say for this example in New York, right? If I'm currently limited by budget by a bit, and I'm currently, and I only want to spend 7K a month, then I also have the option to decide to segment by device, right? To cut down the market that I'm covering, segment by the age of the user, segment by the demographics, segment by other means, right? To ensure that I spend the same but get more results, right? If you're performing better in a particular audience, then just redirect more focus there, right? Because this is where I want us to really focus on the search impression share metric to know where we can make adjustments. You don't always need to just lower your budget or increase your budget. That's not the only option that you have. You have options to cut out audiences or reduce your spend on them to focus on audiences that are delivering better results for you. Not every audience is going to deliver the same conversion rate or the same cost per conversion. Okay, they're all going to be very different. So you have the options to be able to decide to choose where you want to spend if you do not want to spend more. Awesome. So we can, in terms of search combined with social, we're able to interpret the user's search term and what they've typed in to decide what we're going to show them. We can also look into the interactions that they made based on our website, and also look into the source of traffic to personalize what we show on the website, and then also personalize based on the previous touch points of search term and source of traffic and website interaction, right? As we identified in the example before. What if you flip the script and started with paid social? Okay, so if you're using paid social to then lead into your ad campaigns, there are certain things that you can do if you do not have the world's largest budget. If you have segmented campaigns, like I showed you with the example of Florida, and let's just say we've got Florida in the consideration and purchase stage, we're able to really pump the impressions on paid social on the awareness level and see what incremental gains we're getting in consideration layer and purchase layer for our paid search campaigns. Trying to measure the differences in CTR, right? Trying to understand if we've got an increase in conversion rate, trying to understand if we've got an increase in brand searches as a result of our paid social campaigns. So you can actually use what I just shared with you in terms of campaign structure to your advantage of measuring your social campaigns. Because if you're running your social campaigns US-wide, there's likely chance we're not going to see too much of a difference in the increase in brand searches at a US-wide level. But if you really spent a lot of money in Florida, and my campaign is also bucketed based on state, and I've got Florida covered as well, then I should be able to see any increments in CTR because people have been more affiliated with our brand, having seen it on paid social, or have seen more people look for our brand as a result of paid social. So those are things that can happen as well. If you do not want to go into the upper funnel layers of search, you can use paid social as your upper funnel channel and measure how this translates at the lower part of the funnel, where more and more people are searching for your brand. Okay, how can we further complement social? All right, we can measure the incremental impact of activity, as I just mentioned. You can also run experiments in sprints before launching a full-fledged campaign. So using search as your leading indicator. So if you're not expecting to, if you have a new product launch and you want to see what the reaction is for that particular product, you can run experiments in sprints at a lower scale because you've got your campaign segmented and just focus on an 18-24 audience in Florida, for example, for your brand keyword. And you can target that same audience on paid social. That's a way that you can run experiments and sprints before you launch a nationwide campaign for a product launch. So those are some things that you can also do by leveraging a more granular structure. Cool. In summary, I guess I can also start taking questions as well. For user journeys are far from linear. We should be looking at the full journey and how we can include social proof, how we can help users get out of the middle funnel, and how we should then also look at bucketing those two things to create a full funnel strategy that respects the user journey and allows us to remain competitive and spend money where we want to, or where it makes most sense to. And then that gives us the ability to be able to scale and compete in the holiday season. Cool.
Yeah, I see you have one question on the question side from Gibran.
What's the question?
Do search speed ad trends change with states, regions, countries, continents?
Do search, sorry, can you repeat that again?
Do search and bids and ad trends change with states, regions, countries,
Yes.
and or continents, of course?
Yep, they're definitely different across different states and regions, counties, and continents. If you just take a look into your current geographic results, you'll be able to see that the bids are different, the level of competition is different. It's different because each state may have a different level of volumes of searches, may have a different level of competition because your competitors may not have targeted there as much. There's all these different nuances that you'll be able to see. If you just go geographic level if you're talking about regions, you'll be able to see that every state has a different conversion rate, different CPC, different number of impressions. There's all these different metrics that are there. And I think that's where we should look to take that take that information to use as our advantage.
I would maybe add a question, because a lot of the times e-commerce brands use a lot of display ads in order to run their paid advertising, whether it could be on Facebook and Instagram. And in regards to remarketing, you're using Google Display. Would this something that is worth even trying or look at, or would it be like only for those who are looking for awareness without conversions?
Yeah. Well, the tactics that I shared with you around segmentation are very, very applicable. Most recommended, I'd say. I'd go completely against whatever your Google reps are saying and use what I've shared, because segmenting by device for Google display campaigns is a must. Google likes to spend on app campaigns. If any of you are running display campaigns right now, if you actually go into the devices and go into the placements, you'll find that it's running on a lot of mobile apps. Why? Because they charge $100 plus CPM on mobile apps, which is far more than what you're paying for a placement on Facebook, right? And I'd rather spend more on Facebook as a result, because the CPMs are so much higher. So despite getting cheap traffic from Google Display, these are also traffic that bounces a lot because the ads are right in front of the user. The X is very small to click off of, so it delivers a bad user experience. And essentially, the devices that it shows on is also telling as well. 97% of good display spend, if you just let it run, is going to go on apps. So you need to ensure that you try to block apps as much as possible to try and reach people on other placements. So it's even more necessary for you to segment the necessary whatever you can on display, simply because of that reason. Is there a hack you can use, or rather any specific optimization you can do for better results on mobiles, and how you can optimize? The thing about mobiles, and I'd say in terms of overall, mobile's definitely got a lot better. I'd say over the past couple of years, as I've observed, when Google was first pushing everyone to focus on mobile, allowing mobile traffic to come through, the conversion rates on mobile were very low. The conversion rates on mobile were always lower than desktop, but I think in recent days, I would say it's now more comparable. People are still turning to mobile to research and then purchasing later, right? So I think it makes sense to stay on mobile to allow people to find you. But I would say, if you are spending a crazy amount of money on mobile and you're not seeing the results, I think you can look into just maybe identifying the type of keywords that you're currently reaching. You can segment campaigns by desktop and mobile if you want to spend more on desktop and maximize the opportunities there. So there are options for you, right? If you do want to I'd say getting better results on mobile. I think mobile being the dominant device, it's very hard to just extract more volume of better results. I think you need to look in general optimization, not just mobile itself, to get better results there. So delivering good mobile experience or landing page experience, selecting the right keywords that you want to bid or maximize your bid on for mobile. Those are two things that I look into if it's mobile specific. But if you're just looking at how you can maximize your results overall, you can split mobile and desktop if you have a better desktop experience in the meantime, and just spend as much as you can on desktop.
Great. Yeah, I want to thank Robert for this amazing session. So much value and so much knowledge, really. I think I learned a lot for sure. So thank you so much. And for everyone who spend their mornings, afternoons, wherever you are in the world, most of them in their afternoons. So thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure to have you. Any help you need, Mayple was built to help brands to stop gambling on the people they work with. I think we kind of walked the talk, during this session with Robert. That was, packed with really new strategies and new ways of thinking on how to optimize your Google Ads. So any one of you that is looking for the right expert to run their ads, whether it be on Google or on Facebook or email marketing, any channel that will help you scale and make the next right move with your brand, remember, you need the right experts. You need experts that have been vetted, that are a perfect match for you. And with Mayple, there are also, you're working with experts, and we're there for you throughout your work together, helping both sides to optimize also the relationship and making sure everyone succeeds together for the long term. So you're more than welcome to visit our website, and this session will be on our YouTube channel. So we'll send you an email, kind of a summary from both of us, both with the link to our YouTube. So feel free to share it with your teams, with anyone you think that might be, worth sharing with and will gain value. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
For tuning in. Thank you.
Bye-bye.